Hello and assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to part two of this video, Abu Bakr's election and the deliberation and the deliberate isolation of Muhammad's family. In our part one, we talked about Saqifa in terms of what happened and how Abu Bakr was chosen or from the group that was there. And we gave a brief description of kind of what took place and how all that happened. In today's video, I will talk about what happened after Abu Bakr was selected, and we will look at the way he treated the Prophet's family, and and um, and from there we will be able to get a better sense of who was the historical Abu Bakr, and from there we'll get a sense of who Abu Bakr really is. So without further ado, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So when Abu Bakr was chosen, Umar, who was his accomplice in this entire affair, went about immediately after in Medina to secure the bay'ah, or what is known as the allegiance of the people of Medina. And the reports say that he basically dominated the streets, going to residents within Medina, and along with the help of the Aslam, as well as the Al-Ashal of the Aus tribe. And of course, these two tribes became very prominent within the new regime. Now, Wilford said that there was no substantial evidence suggesting that Abu Bakr used force or violence to get the Prophet's family to comply with his position as the new caliph, or as the ruler of the Muslims. Now, Shias have a different perspective on this particular point, in which they say that there are hadiths from within the works of the people of Al-Sunnah showing that Fatima was physically abused by Omar, to the point where she lost her infant child because she was pregnant at the time, and eventually it led to her death, their interaction with him. Now, I don't want to, I know that's the Shia view. I don't want to necessarily say that that is the view that is, I don't want to say whether I believe in that view or not, but there is substantial reasons to think that way. However, in this book, he shows that this may not necessarily be the case. However, it does raise some interesting questions as to, for instance, at one point, now all of what I'm about to tell you about the events of what happened after Saqifa and the election of Abu Bakr takes place within a 6-month period. And what happened is that when Omar was trying to get everyone's allegiance at one point he goes to the house of Fatima alayhi salam, which is the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad. And the Shia hadiths, they say, when referring to the Sunni hadiths, look, you see, he went to the house and he threatened um, the people who were in the house to come out and to give allegiance to Abu Bakr. And at one point, he threatened to burn the house down. The Al-Sunnah hadith say that at one point, Al-Zubair, who is the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad, comes out and draws his sword, but he trips on the way out and he falls down, and Umar's guards jump on him and take him away. Now, this is a scene that sets up a particular, it sets up a very tense moment in time. And according to the Shias, they say that he barged through the door and Fatima happened to be behind the door, and he slammed the door so hard that she was between the wall and the door, and of course she was pregnant. It hit her belly and it affected the birth of her child, etc., etc. And the wounds that she sustained from that interaction or that incident led to her passing. And it is likely, there seems to be some grounds to believe this, because we don't have any other scenario as to what kind of happens after Al-Zubair is taken away. The hadiths on the Al-Sunnah side kind of, they say that when he came to the door with the fire in his hand, in his holding the fire, I don't know what you would call it, but he had came to burn the house down because he was threatening to burn the house down. And they say that Fatima opened the door and said to him, Umar al-Khattab, are you threatening to burn my house down? And apparently the hadiths say that somehow that caused him to change his mind in that interaction with Fatima al-Islam. However, it doesn't really seem like the temperament of Omar. Omar is a very, when he's intent on something, he's the type of person who follows through. But neither on the Shia side or on the Sunni side we're told anything about where is Imam Ali and what he does, and there's confusion on both sides as to what really happened. Because this is the house of Imam Ali. If Imam Ali was there, he certainly would have been there to defend Fatima al-Islam. And this could not have happened in his presence, or at least there's no indication that Imam Ali puts up any fight, which is unusual. So there is, as far as I'm concerned, there is some confusion here on my part about really what really did happen. However, I can say without doubt that the Sunnis say that is as far as what happened. He then, after he spoke with Fatima, he left. But that doesn't make sense, because he was seeking to enforce the will of the Caliph. He had already had Al-Zubair under his custody. He would have, in all probability, he would have done much more than that. The Shias say that he did. He barged through the door, hit the door open. She was behind the door, actually, when she was speaking to him, and came in the house, and maybe who knows what happened after that. Now, if he did do that, there is no hadiths indicating what happened after that. So if he comes into the house, what happens? Who does he encounter? Does he fight anyone? There's just no no clarity, or the hadith is sort of silent, even on the Shia side, as to what happened. So I don't want to endorse either side, but these are the perspective of both sides. And the Sunnis say that, it's kind of unthinkable that the companions would um, become violent and abusive to not only the Prophet's family, but in particular his daughter. And so they do not believe in any hadiths that suggest that this is what happened. They actually said that um, Fatima died from the grief of the death of her father. She died grieving the death of her father, and the child died from natural causes. Now, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't believe that Fatima would die on account of the grief of her father. There's nothing in Islam that suggests that this would happen to her, the daughter of the Prophet, who we know that when it came to grieving over the losses of either his own child, or um, when he encountered others within the community who had that kind of grief over the loss of their family member, he always encouraged them to be positive about even in their grief. So the fact that his daughter would die out of grief for him, I think that's kind of um, far-fetched and kind of unbelievable. So I don't necessarily believe that. Not only that, but she had already two children. She had more to live for, and she was married as well to Imam Ali. So I don't believe that that is what happened. In any event, that is what those are the two perspectives. But Wilford says in his book that there's no strong evidence to suggest that Abu Bakr and Umar um, uh, applied any kind of violence towards the Prophet's family. So what did they do if this wasn't the case? Well, Wilford says that one of the strategies that Abu Bakr applied was a strategy of isolation through demoting the Prophet's family by appointing other people um, into positions of authority and power within the community. And by doing this, he was able to isolate the Prophet's family. Um, so, take for instance, the two most powerful clans of the Quraysh, the Makhzum and the Abshams, were given preference with respect to um, giving them positions of authority and power within the community. So, for instance, Abu Bakr's commander in the Ridha Wars um, were Ikrama. The Ridha Wars were basically a series of military campaigns initiated by Abu Bakr in order to fight against the what was known as the rebellious Arabian tribes um, who didn't fully accept him as the the caliph and as the leader of the Muslim world. However, in the Ridda Wars, he made Ikrama bi Abi Jahl of the Makhzum tribe and Yazid bi Abi Sufyan of the Umayyah. Now, these are sons of the two former leaders of the Meccan opposition to Muhammad. He made these two people the commanders of his army. Now, of the Makhzum tribe again was also Khalid bi al-Walid and al-Muhajir bi Abi Umayyah. Of the Abshams, Khalid bi Asid bi Abilis and Khalid bi Sa'id bi al-Ala and Al-Ala bi al-Arami. These were all people from the either Makhzum tribe or the Umayyad tribe that he placed them in positions of authority and great political and military power. When he led the plans for the conquest of Syria, he appointed as his first commander Khalid b Sa'id b al-Ala. Now, this person had previously refused to acknowledge uh, his his caliph. Um, he refused to give his allegiance, but later on he did so. However, later on, Abu Bakr would replace him with Yazid b Abi Sufyan. And now, with the Muslim armies mostly under the command of members of the old Meccan aristocracy, Medina was virtually at the mercy of Muhammad's recent enemies. Okay? And this was the strategy, the political diplomatic strategy that Wilford said that he took with respect to dealing with and isolating the family of the Prophet. He basically stripped them of any positions of authority and power and influence within the society. So we have a report, according to Aisha, that when Fatima and Al-Abbas, his uncle, came to ask him for the inheritance of Muhammad, which included the land of Fadak as well as some of the property of Khaybar, his response was, and I quote, "As for me, I have heard the Messenger of Allah say, we the prophets do not have heirs or who inherit from them. Whatever we leave is alms or sadaqah. The family of Muhammad can eat from that property. Surely, by Allah, I would not leave any matter undone which I have seen the Messenger of Allah do." Not only did Muhammad disinherit his family from in his inheritance, but that he told Abu Bakr in confidence, and only Abu Bakr, that they can now have from the wealth of the alms, which was something in his lifetime that he had expressly forbidden them. Now, this is interesting because the reason why the Prophet's family is, and this is something that's agreed by both Sunnis and Shias, is that the Prophet's family is forbidden from the alms as a result of their status of purity, right? And this is something that both the Sunnis and Shias have agreed and have accepted from times. However, here we see that Abu Bakr has said no, that although this is something that was forbidden before, he says the Prophet has told him in confidence that now you can have from the alms. However, this is forbidden because of their status of purity. And the reason why this is forbidden for them is because the alms comes from the wealth of the people. And the wealth of the people is mixed with both money that is good, but also money that is bad, or is, lack of a better word, filthy or impure means. And so the Prophet's family, as a result of their purity, was forbidden from benefiting from the alms. So the interesting thing about this is that not only does he cut them off from their inheritance, but effectively he knew full well that they would not because they knew their status, that they would not also partake of the alms. And so in this manner he oppressed them and robbed them of their right. And in any case, there are references within the Quran that basically gives the right of the Prophet's family to inherit um, 20% of the booty, as well as um, the right of the Prophet's family to inherit a portion of that. And the Quran reserves actually a fifth or 20% of the war booty. And in fact, for Sunnis, they say only war booty. And for the Shias, we say no, it's the khums. It's actually 20% of the khums. So it doesn't include just war booty, but it includes other things as well that we have to we have to pay 20% of. So the Quran says that know that whatever you capture as booty, a fifth of it belongs to Allah, to the Messenger of Allah, to the near of kin, the orphans, the poor, and the wayfarer, if you believe in Allah and what He has sent down on His servant on the day of salvation, the day of the meeting of the two groups. So in chapter 8, verse 41, this is the verse. And in another chapter, it says, what Allah has granted as fay, or property that is acquired and given to the Prophet Muhammad, but that was given without fighting. He says, the Quran says that, so what Allah has granted as fay to His messenger from the people, what Allah has granted as fay to His messenger from the people of the towns belongs to Allah, the messenger, the close kin, and the orphans, the poor and the wayfarer, in order that it may not circulate among the rich among you. Now, the fay is property that was acquired not through fighting, and it is issued by Allah to His messenger and, of course, to his family. Both these, Abu Bakr effectively disallowed for the Prophet's family, which were their right by virtue of what the Quran has said, that it is their right to inherit from the Prophet Muhammad. Now, when Abu Bakr disallowed this and told them this hadith, Fatima al-Islam responded by saying to him, O Abu Bakr, where is it in the book of Allah that you inherit your father and I do not inherit mine? Surely you have come up with an unprecedented thing. Do you not read where it says, and Suleiman inherit Dawood? Chapter 27, verse 16. And Allah enjoins you concerning your children. The male shall have the equal of the portion of two females. Chapter 4, verse 11. Now, this is a hadith that is reported by Sahih al-Bukhari. I will put the reference of that on the screen so you can look into that as well. Now, we have a hadith reported by Aisha where Fatima, after this, she said that she never went to visit him ever again, and she never spoke to him ever again, right up until she had passed away, which was 6 months later. Now, what's interesting, though, was that his widows were treated much better than the actual immediate family members of the Prophet Muhammad. They say that a report from Al-Zubair on the authority of Aisha that the widows intended to send Uthman to Abu Bakr to ask for their share of inheritance once again from Fadak and Khaybar. But Aisha, the daughter of Abu Bakr and the wife of Muhammad, uh, caught wind of this and she reproached them, saying, "Do you fear Allah?" She said, and I quote, "Do you not fear Allah? Have you not heard the Messenger of Allah say, 'We do not have heirs. Whatever we leave is alms'?" And of course, she goes on to support her father in this line of reasoning about this hadith. So Wilford says that the women desisted. They no doubt understood that they would fare better if they admitted having heard that the Prophet did say this. And of course, in order to protect himself against a possible charge that he, Abu Bakr, acted arbitrarily with what Muhammad had left for the public treasury, Wilford said that later traditions started to assert that the Prophet Muhammad had made a bequest of the houses to his wives. And so, in order um, to show favor in them desisting from um, uh, uh, pursuing this, he gave them, Abu Bakr would issue them, allow them to stay in their homes. Okay. So, in some sense, the wives of the Prophet Muhammad were treated a lot better and fairer their own than his immediate family. And it said that um, her father, Aisha's father Abu Bakr, would also give her a lot of land holdings that he would eventually give to her. Um, and in this way, both the herself as well as the other wives were, at the very least, secure in terms of their home and their place of residence. I wanted to talk about who exactly are the Prophet's family because this is very important for us to understand. Now, both Sunnis and Shias sources agree that the near of kin that's mentioned in the Quran is meant um, to refer to the descendants of Hashim. Hashim bin Ab Manaf. Hashim bin Ab Manaf. Now, Hashim is the great grandfather of the Prophet Muhammad, and and of Hashim's younger brother, whose name is Al Muttalib. These two are the Prophet's kin to the exclusion of the descendants of the other two brothers of Hashim, which are Abshams, who is Hashim's half brother and is the ancestor of the Umayyads, along with this other brother, Nafal. So Abshams and Nafal were brothers of Hashim. One of them, Abshams, is the half brother of Hashim, but he is the progenitor of the Umayyad tribe. So the Abshams and the Nafal were brothers, and they are related to Hashim. But the Absham is just the half brother of Hashim, and so in this way, these two, these four brothers, produced the various tribes within Arabia, and some of them have a connection to Muhammad, but only the Hashemites and the Muttalibs are seen as the immediate family lineage of the Prophet Muhammad. So this particular lineage and family or tribe within Arabia are known as the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, and they are the ones that have the status of purity, and they are the ones who are benefit from the Fay and the Khums, and are forbidden from the alms. Now, we also want to look at who are the immediate family members of the Prophet Muhammad. Now, we have a tradition within an incident within the Quran known as mutual imprecation or mubahala, in which the Prophet Muhammad was addressed to um, uh, when dealing with a Christian delegation who had received the message of the Prophet Muhammad regarding the teachings of the Quran about Jesus alayhi salam. And although he had uh, explained to them the Quranic perspective on this, they refused to believe or accept what he had explained to them. And the Quran, in response, said, well, call them to a mutual um, um, oath where they swear in the presence of God that whoever speaks a lie against uh, on this issue, that they draw down the curse of God upon them. And this is what the event, basically in a nutshell, is regarding. And the Quran says that to tell them, right? Come, let us call our sons and your sons, our women and your women, ourselves and yourselves. Then let us swear an oath and place the curse of Allah on those who lie. This is chapter 3, verse 61. So the question then is, who is meant by our sons and our women on the part of the Prophet Muhammad? Now, even the Sunni reports say that this implies Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and to some degree, because of another well-known hadith known as Hadith al-Kisa, even this hadith is well known among even the people of al-Sunnah, in which it includes Ali al-Islam. And that these were the although of course the event never took place in terms of the Christians when they came out to see the Prophet, they saw something in the horizon that scared them. The hadith says, I forgot what it was, but they turned away and they didn't follow through. However, the Messenger of Allah did come out with himself, the tradition say with himself, Ali, Fatima, and his two grandchildren, because the Prophet didn't have any sons. His grandchildren were there. And according to Shias, this is what happened. Now, we say that even if we don't believe this hadith, if the Quran is saying that he should do this, it meant that he had these people representing him as his men, his women, and his children. And the only children that he had in terms of male sons were his grandchildren. And that, of course, in terms of the men, would have to be the father of his grandkids. And the women, of course, though it may even include his wives, it certainly doesn't exclude his daughter, who were the mother of his two grandchildren. So, just on a pure, uh, rational deduction, we know who this verse is referring to. And of course, we have those hadiths to substantiate that perspective. So, like I said, from the time Abu Bakr became the caliph to the time that he was able to secure allegiance from everyone was a 6-month period. And during that time, after Fatima and Al Abbas had came to him seeking the inheritance of the Prophet Muhammad, and they were denied, Fatima al Islam never spoke to them again. They say that, of course, this is not a literal. This is not a literal. This is not an absolute truth. I mean, what happened was at some point later on, him and Omar came, um, seeking her, seeking to appease her, and they they got Imam Ali al-Islam. They begged him to, um, for a chance to speak to her, and of course she was on her, she was ill, and they came, and the hadith say that when they came trying to appease her, and they gave her salam, and she never returned the salams. She actually, what she did was she turned her face away from them, but she did speak to them, and that was the only other time she spoke to them. And what she ended up saying to them was, she she reminded them of what the prophet had said to them, that I am, Fatima is of me, and whoever angers her angers me, and whoever is upset, whoever upsets her upsets me. And of course, we know that whoever displeases the messenger of Allah has displeased Allah himself. And so she said, she reminded them of this, and then she went on to say that when I meet the messenger of Allah, I will complain to him about you too. And the hadith basically ends in that light. And so this is a hadith from Sunni hadith, by the way, and it was left like that. And so what happens is that shortly after Fatima al-Islam passes away, according, of course, to the Shias, she passed away as a result of the injuries sustained from the incident with her and Umar when he was seeking the allegiance from her house. And Aisha, at this point, there is a hadith from Aisha that says that when she passed away, the few prominent men who had continued to see Imam Ali while she was alive withdrew from him. And of course, according to Wilford, this motivated Imam Ali to then give his allegiance to Abu Bakr. And so what he did was he summoned for Abu Bakr to come to his house alone. After some hesitation and some advice from Omar not to do so, Abu Bakr went. Imam Ali was there with some others in the home. So Imam Ali went to explain why it is that he initially refused to give his allegiance, because he felt that they, the family of the Prophet Muhammad, were more had a greater right to it than he did. And they say that Imam Ali went on to talk about, the closeness that they had to the Messenger of Allah. And the hadith say that he said that Abu Bakr was in tears as he listened to the Prophet, to Ali. However, when he was finished speaking, Abu Bakr, of course, responded, and of course said all the things that motivated him to do what he did, including why he had not given them the inheritance of the Prophet Muhammad, around, how he had heard this hadith from the messenger the messenger of Allah, etc., etc. So Imam Ali listened, and then afterwards he said that at this time he mentioned at a certain time of the day he will come out and give his allegiance. And eventually when that time came, he did that day gave his allegiance to Abu Bakr. And there is a hadith from Aisha in which issue that says that when he did this, the people that witnessed his given allegiance to Abu Bakr was quite happy, and they congratulated him, and it effectively brought, certainly on the surface, anyhow, the political isolation of the Prophet's family. Now, of course, I say the surface because if we looked at how the regime treated the Prophet's family throughout the life of Islam and the empire of Islam, we will see that this isolation and aggression only continued. Okay, and depending on the leader, it was either more or less more aggressive or a little bit more lenient than its previous government, but certainly there was always a contention. It was always a contentious relationship. And of course, Wilford said that this basically closed the ranks of the Muslims in support of Abu Bakr, because now there was no real opposition to his position, because Imam Ali has now, being the representative of the Prophet's family, had effectively gave his allegiance. Now, we have some Shias that say that Imam Ali never gave his allegiance, and that's a particular view that probably would require some more exploration. However, like I said, I'm only sharing with you the perspective of the scholarly work of Wilfred Magdalen. But I think what's important to understand, like I said earlier, was, during the last days of the Prophet's daughter's life, Abu Bakr and Umar sought mediation from Imam Ali to visit the ailing Fatima. And they say that when they came and they greeted her, she didn't respond to them. She didn't return their salams. In fact, she turned away. And as I said earlier on, that she expressed how displeased she was with them and reminded them that whoever displeases her displeases the Prophet Muhammad. And of course, whoever displeases the Prophet Muhammad has displeased Allah. And of course, this hadith, I will share with you this hadith. It's a hadith from Sahih Bukhari. Anyways, in conclusion to all this, Saqifa provided Abu Bakr with an opportunity to seize the leadership through the caliphate. The absence of Islamic consultation or a legitimate shura, especially with the Meccan companions, allowed his plans to succeed, aided by Umar. A proper consultation would have led to Ali's appointment. To prevent this, Abu Bakr with Umar deliberately sidelined the Prophet's family, denying their authority, inheritance rights, and dynastic rule. The caliph's foundation was acknowledged as flawed by Umar. Sunni followers claim to follow authentic traditions, but Abu Bakr and Umar's actions caused distress to the daughter and the Banī Hashim. Both Abu Bakr and Umar prohibited recording the Prophet's traditions in their time, allowing for weak and fabricated narrations in favor of the caliphs. Shias faithful to the Prophet's family support Ali, Hassan, and Hussein, adhering to their traditions and lineage, making them the true followers of the Ahlul Bayt and the Prophet's Sunnah. I think what's important to ultimately mention is that for the people of Al-Sunnah who claim that they follow the authentic teachings of the Sahaba with respect to following Muhammad, what this research about Saqifa ultimately shows is that these companions who may be considered to be the beloved and the close friends of the Messenger of Allah, when he passed away, they never argued or acted or behaved in keeping with what he wanted from them. They never made any arguments for why they should be the ruler based on anything that he had said or done, by way of choosing any specific person. Not only that, but Saqifa ultimately is a lie on the legacy of the Prophet Muhammad, because this would have been the only instance where a leader leaves a community behind without any successor. And of course, for us Muslims, particularly the Shias, we find that incredulous, really, and unbelievable. And we argue to the contrary. In fact, I will show in one of my videos that this certainly was not the case. In the case of the Messenger of Allah, he did specify who would be the next leader, and also the Quran actually initiated this particular process for him. And I will share with you that information in an upcoming video. I want to thank you for staying with me if you have this far, and I hope inshallah the information was beneficial. If you are deciding on which particular sect to follow, maybe you are interested in Islam, you have accepted Islam, but you're still relatively new to Islam, and you're looking to see which among these sects have held on to the Prophet and their family. Certainly the Shias have done so. We don't follow Ali. That's not who we follow. We follow the Messenger of Allah. And the Messenger of Allah has told us after him who to follow. And you will see, once you see who Imam Ali is, as well as the other successors, you will see that they always teach us the Sunnah and the teachings of the Messenger of Allah. And that's who we follow. Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum for now.